Okay, good morning. We'll go ahead and get started with today's meeting. This time I'll ask clerk to call the roll.
Senator Butler.
Yes.
Senator Figures. Senator Hatcher. Senator Hovey. Senator Kitchens. Senator Price. Senator Shellnut. Senator Smitherman. Senator Stutz. And Senator Chasteen. We have a quorum.
Okay, we have a quorum, ready to get started with our first bill. We have several members of our committee that are in Judiciary Committee that should be here shortly. This time, I'll ask the clerk to call the first bill, please.
SB 166 by Senator Kelly.
Senator Kelly.
Second.
Got it on? Give him a minute.
How about now? There we go. Thank you, Mr. Chair, committee members. I have a substitute that you have before you there. Let me tell you just a little bit about the substitute. After we've had the public hearing, I've entertained and talked to a number of folks, and there was a few concerns mainly dealing with the cost. What if the Ten Commandments were not be able to get the money provided with non-tax dollar money? So we've addressed that in there. So what the substitute does, and this is on the Ten Commandments bill display in public schools, which will be 11 by 14 in size. And it limits the scope to public schools, K through 12 only. It relies solely on the State Board of Education to adopt the rules to identify the resources for the schools. And those would be areas where they can get the copy of it at no charge to them. And then it also addresses, it aligns with the 2018 constitutional amendment permitting displays of the Ten Commandments intermingled with historical documents, which is our purpose here today. And it retains the start date of January 1st, 2026. The local boards of education are not required to spend their own funds to display the requirements. The boards may accept donated funds or displays to them to have it displayed. The donations would help to fund it. And it also allows the state superintendent to set the formation of the poster so that it meets their criteria and everything goes for, it'll be the same for throughout the state.
So, Senator, are these the changes that you've made that are in the sub? Is this what you're talking about right now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And so the display would still be in a common area there inside the public schools, and the display would be among other historical documents.
Okay. Any questions from members? Move favorable, Senator Butler. Second, Senator Shellnut. Okay, let's get a good roll.
Senator Butler.
Aye.
Senator Chasteen.
Aye.
Senator Figures. Senator Hatcher. Senator Hovey. Senator Kitchens. Senator Price. Senator Shellnut. Senator Smitherman. It's favorable, 6-0.
6-0, bills given, substitutes given a favorable report. Thanks, Senator Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members.
Okay, clerk, we call the next bill, please.
We adopt this. Did we adopt this?
We need to go back and adopt the sub. Okay, let's go back and adopt the sub first. We jumped the gun there. Okay, I got a motion by Senator Kitchens, I'm sorry, to adopt the sub. Now, second by Senator Price. Okay, so we have adopted the sub. Now let's, any objections using the previous roll? Okay, there we go. Thank you, sir. Thanks, Senator Butler. Bill's given a favorable report. Thanks, sir. Okay, second bill, clerk.
HB 365 by Representative Collins.
Good morning, Representative Collins.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for putting House Bill 365 in committee today. Several years ago, the governor did an executive order to create a STEM council to try to promote STEM awareness and to make sure that our classes and our curriculum and everything are high quality. And so what this bill does is pretty much just codify that STEM council just like it is. I'm happy to answer any questions, and we do have one amendment. Accounting wanted to be added, and I had no problem with that. And so the amendment you see before you, I believe is on line 28, and it just adds accounting as one of the STEM careers.
Your motion on to adopt the amendment? Senator Shelnut? Second, Senator Kitchens? Okay, so we've adopted the amendment.
I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, move for a favorable by Senator Shelnut, second by Senator Price. Any objections to using the previous roll? Seeing none, the bill is given a favorable report as amended. Thank you, Representative Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Stay right there.
I will.
Call the next bill.
HB 272 by Representative Collins.
Thank you. And we're going to have several of these bills. What we've done is that we have some teacher shortages around the state. And we have some loan reimbursement for some of those positions that's not being fully taken advantage of. And so over the next few weeks, you're going to see several of these that just broaden those areas. This is the first one we'll have. And if you remember a bill we've passed called AMSTEP, this simply changes it to LACIA, but AMSTEP was for STEM teachers. And this one just is loan assistance and support of educators in Alabama. That's where we get LACIA. And it just broadens so that anywhere we're having a shortage of a teacher, which could be special ed, could be different things that are not a part of STEM, but they would then qualify for this loan reimbursement.
Okay.
And I also have an amendment with this one.
Okay, so let's, okay, Senator Shelnut offers to adopt the amendment. Do I have a second? Senator Butler? Okay, you want to explain the amendment?
I'm happy to. It just adds some accountability. I've tried to do that in all of these bills. It includes the Commission on Evaluation Services to work with Department and the Commission of Higher Education. It says that the administration money can't be more than 10%, and that every year they'll look at acute education shortages, because that might look different from year to year. And then it adds some evaluation plan. So they have to have a metrics, what their goal is, what the metrics will be to see if it's working or not, so that we make sure that we're making wise use of our dollars. That's what the amendment does.
So who will determine the acute shortage areas?
It's the Commission on Evaluation Services with the Commission on Higher Education and the Department of Education.
Okay,
They work together.
okay. Any questions on the amendment? Okay. We're on the bill. Do you hear favorable? Senator Shelnut moves for favorable. Senator Price, second. Any objection using previous roll? Seeing none, the bill is given a favorable report as amended. Thank you, Representative Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee.
Okay, has Baker got the next bill? He's not here. Okay, Representative Baker has the next two bills. He's tied up in judiciary right now, so let's move to 277. 7 first.
SB 277 by Senator Shelnut.
Okay, Senator Shelnut, you want to talk about the bill? We have a public hearing on that bill this morning, but I'll go ahead and let you talk on the bill first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just for the committee members know, we passed this out last year, the same bill. It actually passed the House and committee and floor, and then it came to us. We passed it out of committee, and then it got caught up in like several other bills last year and didn't make it out. But I'll give a brief explanation. This is a sex education bill. It requires all sex education, human reproductive curricular programs to exclusively teach sexual risk avoidance, SRA for short. is a sex education approach based on public health model for optimal health known as risk avoidance or primary prevention. Focuses on elimination and or avoidance, abstaining from sexual risk, leading to potential negative life or health consequences. It differs from risk reduction, known as comprehensive sex education, or the CSE model, which is primarily focused on increasing contraceptive use and normalizing team sex. Focus on the whole person and the importance of healthy decision-making for future life outcomes. Teaches the skills of the success sequence, which is finish school, obtain full-time employment, have children after marriage, and less than a 5% chance of living in poverty as adults. Components of healthy relationships, future family formation, and the impact that waiting for sex can have on academic success. Key content of sexual education bill is it requires parent guardian notification 14 days prior to any sex education content taught, and the parents have the right to opt out their child. It prohibits any sexual education curricula or program from supporting, demonstrating, or providing access to contraceptives, abortion, graphically sexual explicit material, or normalizes any form of teen sexual activity. And I'd be glad to answer any questions. I'm
Let's
sure
go ahead
you
and
have
the
some
public
people.
hearing first, and then we'll come back to you with questions, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, who's the first speaker?
Becky Garrettson.
Okay, we have 2 minutes each.
Good morning. I'm Becky Garrettson. I'm the Executive Director for Eagle Forum of Alabama. Thank you for this hearing. The issue basically boils down to two types of curriculum. One is comprehensive sex ed, also called sexual risk reduction. And I have a couple of examples of comprehensive sex ed lessons that are taught to children ages 12 to 14. Federal grants have been awarded to some of these Alabama counties to teach this. One of the lessons is called How to Make Condoms Pleasurable. Again, this is for 12 to 14-year-olds. So I want to show you, you've got this in your packet. Here are some suggested answers to the question, sex is more fun when condoms are used because you can use condoms as a method of foreplay. You can think of sexual fantasies using condoms. You can tease each other sexually while putting on a condom. Or you can have fun putting one on your partner while pretending you are a different person or in a different situation. On the other side, I've provided you with a picture of the condom game, where students are given images asked to put them in order. There's another discussion question. What kinds of sex can people have by themselves? What are other things people might do with their mouths? This is examples of comprehensive sex ed. We believe it's promiscuity and sexual grooming, not prevention. Rather than educating about healthy behavior, comprehensive sex ed indoctrinates youth with the idea that sexual promiscuity is normal for teens. Basically, the message is everyone is having sex, so here's how to do it. The suggested websites
30 seconds.
that students are encouraged to visit would shock you, including sites promoting sex toys. The other kind of sexual education curriculum is called sexual risk avoidance. It is not abstinence only. It's a holistic, factual, science and research-based approach. This legislation bans comprehensive sex ed and the graphic material that's inappropriate for children and requires the other kind. Please vote this out today.
Thank you.
Jason Mann.
Good morning, Chairman, committee members. I'm the Jason Mann, the chairman for the Alabama Sexual Risk Avoidance Education Coalition. In 1934, J.D. Unwin published some research that he did over about 86 different societies, cultures, and nations. And in this research, he derived this information. The cultural behavior of any human society depends on the state of energy as the result of its sexual regulations to which the society has arrived. In other words, the manner in which a society approaches and treats sex will determine whether a nation experiences productive or destructive cultural conditions. He concluded the following: there is a causal relationship between reduced sexual opportunity and cultural conditions derived from ideological shifts, and societies which maintain the absence of or remove wanton sexual opportunities experience more productive and thriving cultural conditions. He ultimately concludes that a decrease in wanton sexual opportunity and insistence upon prenuptial chastity or abstinence until marriage is the most beneficial way of life for any society. This principled approach just happens to align with deistic cultures, but he proved in a non-deistic manner that this type of cultural behavior and regulations on sexual opportunity ultimately leads to a thriving culture. Now, in the 1960s, we had a major ideological shift when it came to sex with the free love movement. And I'm here to say that if we continue in those type of conditions and our flippant attitudes towards sexuality, we will ultimately see the demise of our society and culture as a whole. I
30
lean on
seconds.
this research in order to validate the fact that sexual risk avoidance education is the way to go. We're dealing with teens. 50% of all annual STD infections are sexually active teens. 50%. The rest of the population carries the other 50%. The cost, the medical cost, and the medical epidemic of STDs alone amongst teens far outweighs any other issue that we're facing with teens and risk behavior. So please pass
Thank you.
this bill out of committee.
Joy Wassel.
Good morning, Chairman. Thank you all for having us here today. I want to call your attention. I'm a former educator, taught school, and then began an SRA program 23 years ago. And I want to call your attention to the folder on your desk. And there's a flyer on the first page that I want to talk about. Sexual risk avoidance education is critically important to students developing life skills that every employer, every relationship is going to demand that they have. They're going to need to learn to delay gratification. They're going to need to learn self-regulation skills and how to put a future focus on all of the activities and decisions that they're making today. So when we teach sexual risk avoidance education, we're teaching them those critical life skills. And I've seen it for 23 and a half years now, and the statistics from Alabama, and we have members from all across the state of Alabama, from Mobile to Athens in the room today. We have been teaching this content in this state for many years, and here's the results on this flyer. We see in the students that we have taught on day one, they come into our programs and we give them pre-test to see what they know and what they believe about how to be successful in life. And we know that some of those students answer the question on, do you plan to be sexually abstinent, by saying no. Well, after we have presented our programs, if you'll look at the state map, you see that across the state, 26% of those students who say no at the beginning of our programs change their minds.
30 seconds.
And you also can see the regional area from North Alabama down to the south. And you know, one of the things that we hear is that, well, you don't teach them about birth control and contraception. We absolutely do. We teach it in the actual efficacy of the population we're teaching, which is students ages 11 to 18. And so we're going to cover what contraception does and does not do for the students. We don't want to set up a false sense of security. Thank you.
John Williams.
Good morning. Thanks for letting me be here. John Williams, born and bred in Gadsden, Alabama, to a single mother whose grandmother advocated for his abortion back around 1979 or so. For the last almost 20 years, I spent for the first 15 years of my career as a student pastor, met my wife, high school sweetheart, got married, had a couple of kids, moved on, launched a nonprofit, worked in federal funds. Life That Counts, the organization that I lead outside of the Alabama Department of Public Health, is the only HHS federally funded organization in the state of Alabama working under sexual risk avoidance education, promoting positive teen health. What we tell kids is save sex until marriage, get a job, go to college, get a career, move on. And I think what I would like to say to you today is 45% of all kids born in 2022 were to unwed mothers. Less than 1% of all mothers and children after their third year being born to a single mother less than 99%. I'm getting the percent wrong. Anyway, 99% of all teen mothers, after the third year the child is born without a father in their life, live below the poverty line. By staying faithful to my wife for 23 years, today I've got 2 kids in college at UNA. One graduates in a couple of weeks. He just got married a few months ago. My youngest son's at UNA as well. He's doing the marine biology program. He'll be in Mobile in the summer. I'm also an Alabama poultry farmer within hen houses. I also run a dirt and excavation company, and we own a gym. And that's because there are 3 guys in the room who have ties with West Blockton and Green Pond, Alabama, with Camp Booth. And we had an experience in our life where we were taught morality, where we were taught there were a proper way to do things. We held on to that proper way of doing things. And here we are, married, faithful to our wives, faithful to our kids, contributing to our state and contributing to our communities. SB 277 must be passed to keep organizations from being predatory on our kids in our state, keeping comprehensive sex education out of our state. We've already been fighting to keep some of these organizations out of our state. We've been fighting to keep Planned Parenthood out of our state. It is not a healthy message to say that abortion and condom use. Is that it? Oh, where was the warning?
Missed it.
Well, okay.
Good job. All right, last speaker.
Condi Wagner.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Candy Wagner. I am the school program director at First Choice Women's Medical Center here in Montgomery. I must start this conversation by saying that I don't really understand why there are 2 opposite sides of this argument, because I think we can all agree as adults that kids should not be having sex. Like, I really don't understand why we are on opposite sides of this. When our children are about to turn 21, we don't say, if you're going to drive under the influence, you should do X, Y, and Z. We tell them don't do it. We don't say when they're about to get their first job, if you're going to call out of work, you should have these excuses lined up. We tell them show up. So why do we treat sex differently? We should be telling them it's healthy to wait, not saying that if you're going to do it, you should take these precautions, because it's not just about the sexual act. It's about how it affects the whole person. And that's the point of sexual risk avoidance education. We're not going in and we're not just talking about sex. I'm in the classroom with our students here in this city, in Montgomery Public Schools. I can't speak for anybody else's school system. I can only speak for MPS. And what I'm seeing in the classroom is that there is so much confusion. There's so much chaos, and our students are lost. Our babies are lost. And I think that us as adults forget that they are the future of this country and they're the future of this state. And so I am going to ask you today to consider passing this bill, just because we want to give them the best opportunity possible. And we want to make sure that they have all the skills to make good decisions and to be successful. And that is graduate school, get a job, get married, and then have children. And so I'm not really understanding why we're arguing about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, this concludes the public hearing. Senator Sheldon, at this time, do you have any other further comments?
No, sir, just move for favorable.
Okay, got a motion for favorable, second by Senator Butler. Let's get a new roll. Senator Stutz came in.
Senator Butler.
Aye.
Senator Chasteen.
Aye.
Senator Figures. Senator Hatcher. Senator Hovey. Senator Kitchens. Senator Price. Senator Shellnut. Senator Smitherman. And Senator Stutz. 7-1.
Okay, 7-1, bill's given a favorable report. Thank you, Senator Shellnut. Okay, I see Representative Baker came in. At this time, we'll call his first bill.
HB 232 by Representative Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Thank you for your, I guess, patience with me. I've
No
actually
problem
had
this morning.
another bill in Senate Judiciary, but anyway, thank you for your patience. SB 232, this involves schools being notified through the juvenile court system. It's something that where some of the schools across the state begin to experience. It could be, for example, a juvenile that's been charged with a very violent crime. They're wearing a ankle monitor in the classroom, and so it's where the little girl seated next to the individual then is wondering about the ankle monitor and such. So anyway, there's no requirement that schools be notified right now. It is where they may be notified by the juvenile court. So this would, this bill, with the amendment that did pass in the House, it's part of the engrossed version of the bill now, it does restrict this just to violent crimes. That would be such as murder, rape, sodomy. And so this bill would now require that the juvenile court provide written notification to the superintendent or the headmaster principal of a private school. It does not require that they disseminate that information down the line. It does not require they do anything, take any type of corrective action or anything towards the juvenile that has been charged or is in the process of litigation. So this would just require that there be notification to the schools.
Representative Baker, is this the companion bill to the bill Senator Sessions?
That is correct. This is a bill that has, actually, it's already passed out of the Senate, so this is the
Okay.
House companion version.
Okay, I got a move for favorable by Senator Hatcher, second by Senator Price. Let's get a good roll, please.
Senator Butler. Senator Chastain.
Aye.
Senator Figures. Senator Hatcher. Senator Hovey. Senator Kitchens. Senator Price. Senator Shellnut. Senator Smitherman. Senator Stutz. 8-0.
Okay, very good. 8-0, bill's given a favorable report. Representative Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Okay, and the next bill, just stay right there.
HB 234 by Representative Baker.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, I do have an amendment that has been provided to me, which I will step forward and allow this to be
Okay.
distributed. And I'll speak to the amendment here in just a moment. First, just addressing the bill itself. We've heard the expressions like every second counts, time equals lives. These are two expressions that are often heard in crisis and emergency incidents. With this mobile rapid response technology in place, if this bill passes, then teachers, administrators, office staff, custodians, lunchroom workers, maintenance, and other education employees become the eyes and ears internally and externally across the school campus footprint to activate an alert that immediately notifies school officials and law enforcement of the exact location for the most rapid response to the incident. So what this bill does, this would allow for a sort of 5-year long runway for schools to put this required rapid response technology in place. So this would take effect in October 1 of 2030. I did accept an amendment in the House that actually sort of extends it possibly even beyond that if there is not annual dedicated funding for school safety. And so that has been incorporated into the bill going forward as well. So it is my hope and expectation. I have met with Chairman Orr regarding trying to have some dedicated ongoing school funding as school safety is something that's going to be ever present. It's not going away. So he is contemplating that. It may be something that might occur as early as this year. If not, hopefully it will be forthcoming very soon. But this does have a runway, a 5-year runway with this to take effect, but subject to there being dedicated school safety funding annually.
Representative Baker, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Then I'll get to Senator Stutz. This is not vendor specific, correct?
That is correct. This is that very, very good question. This is not vendor specific whatsoever. There are multiple entities that would be able to compete in this market. There are already approximately more than 25 school systems across the state of the roughly 150 school systems, including charter schools, that already have such in place. But this is something that I feel very strongly about, having served on the School Safety Commission back in 2017 and also back in 2024. This also was a part of the bill that School Security Act that Chairman Arthur Orr had passed last year, and mentioned within that bill in the rubrics for the schools that be inspected once every 5 years. It does mention, they use the word panic buttons. I use the word then emergency buttons and all, but this is also included in that bill as well as one of the items listed as a rubric that they would like to see in the schools.
Okay, Senator Stutz, you had a question?
I do, and your question was similar to mine. Representative Baker, my concern with the bill, I guess twofold. One is, we continually address these issues of school safety, and I'm 100% for that. But my concern is that, we never seem to really address the reasons that we have these, and degeneration of the nuclear family. I know I went to school a long time ago, but schools were different then, and the lack of discipline and the family's lack of discipline in the schools is the root problem of why we need all these. But my specific question about the bill was, I guess, line 54 through about 61, about the list of vendors and how long that list would be, and would it be competitive bid, or, I think that kind of thing of requiring them to have a list of vendors where you might have one vendor on the list, and that just kind of opens the door for corruption of
Oh, certainly.
who supplies these things statewide. Well, we only had one vendor on the list, so.
Oh, certainly. I'm very, very sensitive to that, and so that would be something then that I would not want to be a part of, supporting a bill that would be vendor-driven and that be subjected maybe just a very small 1 or 2 or 3 then vendors that would be in the market for that. So that's why this bill has been crafted in such a way. Then and not only that, but I'm saying. It's where I've already been provided a list of different vendors that could qualify based on the criteria for the bill, and so it's more than 20. Yes,
Yeah.
I'll be.
Do you by
glad to
chance
provide
know
you with a
that
list.
you said there were about 25 systems in place? Are they all from one vendor, or do you?
No, these are multiple vendors.
Okay.
Multiple.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for Representative Baker? Senator Smitherman?
Well, I'm following you, and
Yes.
I'm following you. But we got that other thing straight out.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Don't forget now, Mr. Chairman, I got to say this. It's 10 seconds. Don't forget now, y'all need to show us some love down there. You look at this agenda. We got all these House bills on here. And I look downstairs, I don't see but about 2 little Senate bills be on. We ain't but 35 of us. So y'all got to show us some love now.
I understood. We'll try to show that love as best we can.
I got you. All right, that's all I want. Do you have in place as to who is going to be responsible for making this notice?
You say preparing the list, you mean, of
Yeah, I mean,
vendors that from which the schools then could obtain this rapid response technology? Is that what you're asking?
Now, this is HB 232, isn't it?
No, we've already, that bill's already been addressed.
Oh, so we on
Yeah,
HB 234.
That is correct, on the school safety.
Oh, okay. All right, then. Now, what are you trying to do in there?
This would it provides somewhat of a 5-year runway for schools would be required to implement a mobile rapid response technology. So this could be perhaps through a button, or it could be a mobile device if it meets the criteria within the bill and such. So this
Like a panic button or something?
yeah, they're oftentimes called panic buttons or emergency buttons, right? And so this would originally the bill was where it was going to allow the schools to tap into any one of 3 sources, such as the K-12 capital grant programs, A&T then monies, and/or the School Security Grant Act that passed last year.
To get the money to do what you said?
Yeah, because there are already then three, if you want to say, pots of money where schools can already go that they can use use for school safety, then measures that they would be taking.
So your bill, you're trying to get, do you have in this bill, do you have the procedure that they ought to set up? I know you're trying to get the money. You're trying to direct them to be able to get the funds to do this, right?
Well, there's already available sources in there. I've already mentioned the group prior to your entrance here that there's roughly about 25 schools that already have such already in place.
Okay.
And then
What your bill do then?
So this would require that by October 1 of 2030, so basically a 5-year runway, that all schools must have this rapid response technology in place by that time. I did tack on a amendment in the House that would state that this would be, even that date, October 1, 2030, would be subject to there being annual dedicated school safety funding. And that's something I've been in strong conversation with Senator Orr. It may happen as early as this year. If not, then it would still be subject to that caveat that it must be annual dedicated school safety funding for this actually to take effect even by 2030.
Did you talk to Representative Garrett also?
Yes. This already passed out of the House.
Okay, but I mean about this issue though,
Yes, about having the annual school dedicated funding. Yes. I've talked with both Representative Garrett, Chairman Garrett, as well as Chairman Orr. And so this is something that we're pushing for. This also was a strong recommendation of the School Safety Commission in the House. It was created to study such issues on school safety, and that was one of the recommendations, that there be annual dedicated school safety funding as well from that committee.
Just one last comment. See, that you showed an example of what I said at first. I don't know, y'all correct me, but do we have a school safety committee, what he talking about they got in the House? Do we have one in the Senate like that?
I'm not aware of one.
See, that's what I mean. You all need and should make that a joint interim committee where you have senators, the Senate one, and you all, and get together. Because right now you all kind of doing your thing and bringing it up here, and this is our committee of the, lack of a better word, of a whole, the first impression we get of something that you all have worked on for a long length of time, and now we're in the process of trying to put our little input in it when it should have been on the front end, and this bill would have been and you going on out of here. You know what I'm saying? So as you all do that, period, in any area. That just obvious it's going to take us, and we need to establish an interim, some kind of, whether subcommittee, some kind of joint committee, so that we can, both sides, put that before it even gets up here where we are.
I agree with you.
But I support you on the
I do agree
Thank you,
with
Mr.
that.
Chairman.
Thank you.
I support
Okay,
you.
so we have a motion and a second to adopt the amendment. Let's get a roll on the amendment.
Senator Butler.
Aye.
Senator Chastain.
Aye.
Senator Figures. Senator Hatcher. Senator Hovey. Senator Kitchens. Senator Price. Senator Shellnut. Senator Smitherman.
Aye.
Senator Stutz. 9-0.
Okay, the amendment is adopted. Now we're back on the bill. Here a favorable. Senator Shellnut moved for a favorable. Second.
Second.
Senator Smitherman. Any objection to previous roll? Seeing none, the bill is given a favorable report. Thank you, Representative Baker.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much, thank you, members of the committee. I appreciate your patience, and thank you for the comments, Senator.
That's
Smith.
all right.
Thank you so much.
I take it either way. It's honorable either way, so it doesn't matter.
No, thank you so much. Thank you.
You did a good job today.
Oh, thank you. You as well. Thank you.
Okay, we're on the last bill of Senate. Go ahead and call the bill up.
Senate Bill 278 by Senator Shellnut.
Okay, let me make a couple of comments before turning it over to Senator Shellnut. I've had a lot of questions from committee members, and we've, at this time, we're going to have a public hearing. We're going to hear the bill. We're going to have a public hearing on it. But at this time, today, we're not going to vote on the bill out of committee. We'll bring the bill back up again for a vote, but there are a lot of questions that need to be answered by committee members, and so I wanted to give the grace to those committee members to find the answers that they need in order to satisfy their position on this bill. So, Senator Shellnut, at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and hopefully this public hearing will be like the last one. There will be no opponents speaking. I like that last one. SB 278 is the purpose of this is for our school districts to create a policy that allows students to attend religious class during the school day. This is completely optional for the students and requires parental consent. There are no school funds that can be used. The parents must give permission. The faith-based group that provide the program accepts liability, provides transportation, and the classes must be off-site. The Supreme Court ruled this is constitutional in 1952. Many of you have asked, why do we need this bill, since we passed a law in Alabama in 2019 allowing school districts to enact policies? Well, since that time, very few school districts have adopted release time policies. Currently, there are 12. 19 more districts have policies coming. We know there's a demand by parents for more programs. We have 4,500 parents have signed a petition for a religious release program. We have over 100 districts that have expressed an interest but do not have a policy in place. Parents are approaching superintendents and school boards throughout the state and being told no. So let me address some common questions on this bill. Would local school boards have the ability to adopt their own local policy? Yes. Nothing in this bill limits the authority of local school boards of education to tailor the policy to meet their district needs. This gives the locals more flexibility than most bills we pass in this legislature. Would local school boards determine if they award elective credit? Yes. The bill states that a student who participates in release time may earn elective credit, leaving the decision up to the local school boards. In conclusion, this bill is a parental rights and religious freedom bill, and I'm asking for your support. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know we have several speakers lined up.
Okay, thanks, Senator Shelnut. Okay, at this time, we'll begin our public hearing. We have 3 proponents and 3 opponents, so we'll go with a proponent and an opponent back and forth until, and we are on a limited time. We have Education Budget Committee and the budget comes out, so please be respectful of the time you have, and then we'll have some closing comments from Senator Shelnut and questions from committee members.
Sonny Cotton,
Is you a proponent?
proponent.
Proponent, okay, thank you, Sonny.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Sonny Cotton, a proud Alabamian from Senator Kelly's district and the Alabama State Director for LifeWise Academy. I'm also the wife of a 7th grade public school math teacher and coach, and the former director of an at-risk youth program that partnered with our public school system. I've seen firsthand how deeply students are struggling and how desperately families are looking for help. That is why I support Senate Bill 278. It gives parents the freedom to choose religious instruction for their children. LifeWise Academy is a release time religious instruction program operating in nearly 600 public schools across the country, with more than 900 confirmed to launch next school year. This growth is because parents want Bible education as part of their child's school week. Here in Alabama, we have nearly 4,500 signatures of people who have signed up to bring LifeWise to their local school. This model works because it's community-led. We don't even approach school boards or superintendents until the local community has gathered at least 50 signatures and has 3 churches represented. Then a small local team creates a plan to partner with the school that fits their schedule
30
using
seconds.
non-instructional time like lunch or homeroom, so no core learning is missed. But while the model works, the hard truth is this: the current law in Alabama is not working. LifeWise and other release time programs have already been told no by several school systems, including Muscle Shoals City, Gulf Shores City, Madison County, a charter school in Elmore County, Vestavia Hills, and Alabaster City, and Shelby County. In addition, all the school districts that we know of, only 12. Thank you.
Ben Baker, opponent.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to participate in the process. My name is Ben Baker. I'm a deacon and Sunday school teacher at Ayrton Baptist Church. My son Jackson Baker is a pastor at Shady Grove Baptist Church in Brundage, Alabama. I'm an elected Republican superintendent. I'm the longest serving superintendent in the history of Dale County Schools. I've been serving in public schools for 3 decades. I tell you that to let you know that I'm actively engaged and I'm old, okay? My concerns with this bill: it robs local school boards of local control. Dale County, the good people of Dale County elect a school board to make these decisions. Let them make the decisions. There's already a law in place. Think about what we learned as a child of the 80s from people like Ronald Reagan. You know, he tried to teach us that smaller government is better government. School systems do not need more mandates. Current law leaves the decision to local school boards who are best positioned to determine whether release time instruction aligns with the needs of their community. SB 278 mandates that's simply government overreach. That removes the ability of local boards and local communities to make decisions for their local schools. My biggest problem is religious, the term religious instruction. That's not defined anywhere. That is problematic. The United States and the great state of Alabama was founded on Christian values.
30 seconds.
This is a threat to my Christian values. Because when it says religious, am I now going to have to release students to go and sacrifice goats and worship goats? Or maybe some type of satanic thing? I can't live with that. There's no definition on that. That is a threat to my Christian values. Public schools are not run by districts of out-of-touch bureaucrats. They're run by locally elected and appointed community members. Thank you.
Jennifer Riggs, proponent.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I am Jennifer Riggs, and I've brought my youngest son today, Isaac Riggs, here with me. We are here today from Huntsville, Alabama, Senator Butler's district, and we're very grateful for this opportunity to come before you and present our testimony and request your support for Senate Bill 278. Some years ago, when my husband and I became parents, I became a stay-at-home mom. I believe to this day that is the greatest decision we could have made for our family, but we also were aware that making that decision would impact the opportunities and options that our children would have for education. Private school would not be an option, and we believed that homeschooling was not a viable option for us. Even though the public schools in our area are great schools, we've always understood the boundaries with regard to any faith-based or biblical teaching. Last August, when my children were going back to school, I was looking on social media and I noticed an ad for LifeWise, a program that brings in release time for religious instruction. As I read about LifeWise, I quickly became intrigued and convinced that this program could be the answer to meeting that long-felt desire for my children and others like mine to have the Bible taught during their school day.
30 seconds.
After following a short chain of events, I was asked to become a member of a steering committee. We then tried to present before our superintendent, and we were told no. He said there were too many mandates and requirements that we could not be accommodated. I'm aware that over 100 parents like me in our district would like the option of biblical teaching through a program like LifeWise. This allows parents the freedom it upholds. It allows the freedom of choice. It upholds our rights to give families the ability to choose Christian faith-based education.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ryan Hollingsworth, opponent.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to address the committee this morning. Ryan Hollingsworth, Executive Director, School Superintendents of Alabama, and we are opposed to SB 278 and ask at the appropriate time that you vote no. you, this body, the House of Representatives, the State Board of Education, put a lot of things in place that we have to instruct, teach during the school day. We have, the school year is 1,080 hours. That's all we have. And we have to have all that in place. And you bring bills in here and we talk about there's not enough time in the day, there's not enough time in the year. So we're very concerned now that this bill as written would say that we have to release those students, have to have a policy that would allow a release. There's no time limit in here. I'm sure that's controlled locally. That is an issue with the Literacy Act, the Numeracy Act, trying to get kids to proficiency in reading and math, trying to improve on our NAEP scores, and now we're being told that we have to let them go. We struggle with chronic absenteeism, getting parents to send their kids to school, and now we get them there and we have to release them. There's if my math is correct, there's 8,760 hours in a year. We only have them for 1,080 hours, so the parent has the child 88% of the time in the year. I became a Christian in July of 1980. Married a Christian. Raised 2 children, Christians. That's the number one priority in my life. Number one priority for my family. I'm going to make sure that my children and my grandchildren are taught the Bible.
30 seconds.
That's my responsibility. It's not a right. It's my responsibility as a parent. I look at Ephesians 6:4. What does it tell me to do? It tells me to raise my children. Right? Admonition of the Lord. That's what it says. I believe that. That's what I did. I think if you're a parent and that's a priority, then you make sure in those hours that you have, those 7,680 hours that you have them,
Thanks, sir.
that you make that work. Thank you.
Marty Griffin, proponent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members, for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Marty Griffin. I'm on staff at First Baptist Church in Gulf Shores in Senator Elliott's district. I bid you greetings from the beach. We submitted a proposal to Dr. Matt Aiken, our superintendent, to implement a foundational Bible survey course this past fall, and pursuant to the Alabama Release Time Credit Act, and were met very favorably. In fact, I received an email in February from Dr. Aiken stating that his leadership team was working on scheduling for this fall, and the Bible class was part of those discussions, and felt really good. We received word in early March that our school board had denied our request based on concerns raised by the school board's attorney. I want to make it abundantly clear that we do not view our school board, our superintendent, the president of our board, the school district's attorney as our opposition. They are not our opposition. We know that Ephesians 6 teaches that our opposition, we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. We wrestle against principalities and powers, against rulers of the darkness of this age. So it's not us versus them. They do a fantastic job, but we feel like their objections don't really hold water. I wish I had time to address some of the objections that have been brought up today, but we don't have time for that. We believe their decision was driven by fear. Fear of, if we approve this, what if? What if this unusual situation happens? What if this group complains? So on and so forth. We believe that a bill like SB 278 would alleviate that pressure from them to make that decision. And we simply want our community, our parents and students, to have the freedom to choose biblical instruction that won't infringe on any other student's right. And we at First Baptist in Gulf Shores are willing to take on the burden of responsibility and liability. With God's grace, we think we're capable of doing that. I want to thank you for your time today, and I would encourage you, if you have any questions about our story, reach out to me. I'm not hard to find. Marty at First Baptist in Gulf Shores. I'd love to chat with you about how we feel about some of those objections that have arisen. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, sir. Okay, that concludes the public hearing. We members, just so that we'll have a couple of comments, but we have a budget committee in about 2 minutes, and our chairman's going to be pushing us out of our chairs here pretty quick. So I want to thank everyone that took the time to be here today for your comments. Let me recognize Senator Smitherman first, then I'll close with you, Senator Shelnutt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just, I had to take this 10 seconds, I guess. I'm gonna try to be fast because I know what you're saying. I have some serious concerns with this bill. And I have some serious concerns because of the one word that we're changing, says shall. Shall mean that they don't have an option under any shape, form, or fashion. They must do what the supporters of this bill is saying that they want done. I think that next that we have what's called the Choice Act. You know, and if you want to go somewhere else to school, we providing you about $10,000 a year to go and to pay. And if there are people who want to go where it provides these services, then that's why we got the money out there, to make the choice. There are schools that are already, if you want your child in that school, in my district, and I don't know if you and I share the same district, but I'm talking about John Carroll. That's what they do at John Carroll High School. This is part, if you go to school, that is set in stone, that they're going to have these religious teachings. I think it's a infringement on the rest of the citizens who necessarily don't want to do this. I think they have just as much right as the people who want to do it. The next thing is that it goes right into the face of the separation of the church and state as it relates to the U.S. Constitution. And I know folks say he's up there citing Constitution and saying that, but just for the record, I taught seniors in law school for 25 years as a constitutional law professor. So I understand the Constitution probably as good or better than anybody in this room. And also, the last thing, it goes into the face that it takes away home rule. We already don't have but a little smidget of home rule in this state as it is. And now we're trying to take this aspect again from our local boards and things. So I just said that, you know, and I'm through when I say that to say that I vigorously oppose this because of those reasons. Thank you.
Thanks, Senator. All right, last comment from the sponsor of the bill, Senator Shelnut.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief. And I just want to stress again that this is completely optional for students and requires the parental consent. No school funds will be used. And they keep saying it takes away local control. This bill does not take away local board, the control of the local board. They have the right to make a policy. They can decide if they want to not do anything. I mean, to not have a policy, to not allow this. So it does not take away local control. It just says, hey, please come up with a policy. And then if their local constituents have a problem with it, they can approach the local board, local superintendent. So thank you, school members. I encourage you to vote for this when we have the chance, and I look forward to answering any questions you might have.
Mr. President, I would just ask my colleague that if you would just take that statement I said and present it to 40 lawyers downstairs, I think they would rightfully answer the question the way that legally it should be answered.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Again, this concludes our meeting today. We will not vote on this. We'll bring it back up again. I think there are a lot of questions that committee members have, so get with the sponsor of the bill, and we'll meet again on this issue. We are adjourned. Thank you.
What about 277? Oh. Okay. Oh, okay.
Okay.
How are you, ma'am?
Hey, how you doing? Yeah, that's right. We got a lot.